Next, I want to introduce one of my favorite mayors in Kansas, Mayor Joe Reardon, my neighbor to the north. Mayor Reardon is coming on his 5th year as the mayor CEO of the unified government. Joe has a passion for his job and his community that I try to emulate. Sometimes I get close. His enthusiasm is contagious. And so with that, I want to introduce Mayor Joe Reardon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here on behalf of the unified government. And before I speak a little bit to how excited we are about the Tiger Grant and the great success that all of you have worked on to get us to where we are today, I got to tell a quick story about transit. Many of you are involved in transit, and I had a recent experience in transit. I have 2 young boys, 9 and 6 years old, and so we took a trip to Chicago, and we were going to do the museum in the middle of winter. This is right around New Year's. And so we decided we were going to do the museum thing. And so we decided we were going to use the bus to get everywhere, which my boys absolutely love. But the great thing about it, and I think it speaks a lot about how if we invest in transit, transit becomes more accessible and usable in ways that we might not have imagined in the past. But what I stumbled across is I have an iPhone, and many of you probably have a phone where you can download an app, and because Chicago has completely integrated all of their buses with GPS, there are now apps out there that actually track the buses themselves, where they are on the line, and when they're going to hit the nearest station that you're going to pick it up on, which was invaluable in the middle of winter with my 9 and 6-year-old, because we could stay inside the pizza place until right before the bus got to the station to go outside in the freezing cold. And I didn't have to hear them complain about how cold it was in Chicago in the middle of January, and why were we in Chicago. And they aren't all that interested in museums, or not enough to spend days at a time in there. So it was absolutely fantastic, and I think it speaks volumes about how if we make the investments, the critical investments in transit, as it exists today, to take it to next steps, that we find ridership and use that we didn't expect to see happen. And I think it speaks volumes about the effort that we've made collectively here in the Kansas City region around the Tiger application. So I congratulate each and every one of you that worked so hard on this. I do want to recognize Marcia Bernard, who heads up our transit operation and has for such a long time in Kansas City, Kansas. Her passion about transit is absolutely phenomenal. We need to have more and more folks within government that carry that kind of passion about what they do on a daily basis. She propels our organization forward. And really, it was with a lot of her vision and effort that 2 years ago we began to intensely study the State Avenue corridor, our major east-west connection in Kansas City, Kansas, to really try to work on how we could improve the transit operation on that corridor, and ultimately to move to bus rapid transit on the corridor. A lot of great things have happened even in the midst of us just getting to the point where we are today, as we looked closer and closer to at the corridor. We added Sunday bus service through a collective effort. Many of you were involved in that as well, and our ridership has been very strong. We've improved the transit service as it exists today in cooperation with ATA on State Avenue, and we've made the service better, and we're taking steps to move to bus rapid transit. So the Tiger Grant opportunity couldn't have come at a more opportune time for us in Kansas City, Kansas, as we've really focused on the State Avenue corridor. Our current ridership in the corridor is daily at about 3,000 riders a day, a little bit over 3,000 riders a day. We project, as we continue to improve the service delivery on the route and move to bus rapid transit, we project that we would reach about 5,500 riders a day on the transit in the State Avenue corridor. We provide a little over, I'm looking at Marcia to make sure I don't trip here, we provide a little over 1 million rides a year within Wyandotte County, and the transit that's provided, a mix of unified government transit, KCATA, and the Joe, all coming into our community to provide transit. So transit's very important to Kansas City, Kansas today. I absolutely believe that it will become critically important as we continue to grow our community in connecting the urban parts of our community, the suburban parts of Kansas City, Kansas, and ultimately, and perhaps most importantly for all of us in this room, as we can continue to connect the region together, and using transit as not just a physical connection, but a way that we cooperate across county and state and city lines to make the Kansas City region the kind of region that we are proud of today and propel it into a future that I know that we all want to see happen. These dollars, the over $10 million that we will receive, will go directly to improving the physical aspects, as was mentioned, to the State Avenue corridor, with 2 major transit stations in the corridor, one in our downtown, one in our midtown, and then also to improve pedestrian access. State Avenue has a mix of pedestrian access right now. We have sidewalks on part of State Avenue. There are other parts that are more suburban in character where sidewalks were not part of the initial street and work and the improvements in the infrastructure. That's going to change with these dollars. And also to improve the stations and the interconnectivity that goes along with bus rapid transit to make it more accessible, as I've talked a little bit about the Chicago experience. I think that the final thing that resonates with me as we take a look at this investment is this is part of an ongoing and long-term vision that collectively so many of us have. And the good news is that in being competitive and working with Mark, in our cooperation with KCATA, when we try to realize that metropolitan vision, my hope and belief is when we take that to Washington, D.C., when we work with our federal partners, they're going to see the kind of cooperation and the collective vision that they want to engage in, that is a good use of federal funds and a great leverage of federal dollars to make communities move forward. So I want to congratulate each and every one of you. I want to thank so many of you that have worked so hard on this. We've had a great collective effort from many of our citizens in Kansas City, Kansas as well. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you here today and to express our appreciation.